Hey, how's it going? This is Taron Epps Jr., and this is the Inside Outreach Podcast. I'm joined by a city council candidate for 4th Ward, Miss Barbara Curry.
Good morning.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing good.
First off, I really appreciate you doing this. This is the first episode of the podcast, and I really, I was really grinding for a guest for a while, so this has been nice. I want to start getting into your background. Where you come? Where were you born?
West Philadelphia.
Okay.
West Philadelphia, born and raised. I was raised by my grandparents. My grandparents were they were humble. They were middle class. We were the first African Americans in a brand new neighborhood in West Philadelphia. Went to school, went to public school out there, very heavy. In the church, went to Holy Trinity Baptist Church.
Okay.
And so that's pretty much, how I started off.
And what was it like growing up there? Because I'd imagine growing up in Texas, it was very different.
So growing up in West Philly, for me, it was peaceful. It wasn't anything like it is now.
Right.
We had our problems, but it was a different time.
Right.
It was a different time. Neighbors were neighbors. And that particular block, there was a very kind and warm environment there for children to flourish and grow. And my mother, she kept when I say grandmother or mother, they're interchangeable, the same person. Yeah. She kept me well grounded because she had friends from all nationalities. So I didn't know black and white. I just knew friends. I just knew here's Aunt Rosalie. Well, there's Aunt Marie. Back then, children didn't call adults by their first name. It was Aunt. And then if they had a title, it was by their title. Or sometimes if they weren't a real close friend in the inner circle, it was Mrs. or Mr. And then if it was a male, of course, it was there's Uncle Ben. And it's like, Mommy, so how's he related to us? He's not. He's Uncle Ben, and that's what you'll call him.
Right. Very different than now.
Yeah.
Very different. So what led you to Oklahoma? Because obviously we're a lot in Oklahoma is a military community, so I'm assuming it had something to do with it. What led you here?
My husband.
Okay.
So I met him. I went into the military. Initially, my heart wasn't there, but my grandmother was like, okay, you know what? You need to get out of this house and you're going to need to do something. And so the most popular thing to do at that time was to go either in the Job Corps or the Army Reserves. I went to the Job Corps, got my GED, and then I came back home. I'm running the streets, no sense of purpose. Just at that time, I just didn't have all of that. It was a very rough background. So I didn't have a real focus on success. Right. And so, oh, wow, Army Reserves, that looks promising. I can travel the world and do this and that and be a soldier. And so I went in the Army Reserves. And then when I graduated from basic training, went to AIT in San Antonio. And that's when I met the tall, slim Mr. Curry. And it just went from there. And about a few years after that, we got married. And that's how we wound up in Oklahoma, PCS and all over the place.
I understand. What was your MOS?
Patient administration. So I forget the exact numbers, but.
Right. No, that's good. And so getting into the military, traveling around, you see a lot of things, right? So I'm a military brat. I've been all across the country, and you see a lot of similarities. When you got to Lawton, Oklahoma, what did you see that was different from all the other places that
Everything.
you were?
Okay. Let me see. So the best way for me to relate to Lawton was when we were in Waldorf, Maryland. That was more country-ish.
Right.
Every place else, Germany stood out on its own. That was different.
Right.
And Philadelphia can compare to nothing.
Right.
But it made it an easier transition to the countryside. The wide streets, the fields, the mountains, just the open spaces. Right. Not the mountains, but the open spaces. So, and stores not being on every corner and not having access to things like you did in Philadelphia. So we were able to adopt, I think, because of our tour in Maryland.
Yeah, so I was in Brandywine, so that's like down the street. So I've been around that part, and there are definitely similarities. When you got here, what was your initial thoughts? Because a lot of people look at Lawton and it's they talk about it like it's something that it's not. I think it's a pretty good city, but you talk to people, it's like Fallujah, right? You're going to Lawton.
So when I first got here, I'm going to be honest with you, the first thing I thought was, I don't like it, but I'm going to take this city.
Okay.
I'm being honest. And so my first thought was we were on Fort Sill at the hotel waiting for housing, waiting to find a house.
Right.
So the first thing I needed to do was secure a church home. So I went visiting different churches, meeting with pastors, trying to find that right fit for my family. Right. And then once I did that, me and the kids used to go around riding, like in the evenings, every street, up and down. And it was not as beautiful as it is now. Because listen, Flower Mound Road was just completely, that was something horrible and scary and spooky even in the daytime. But it's a beautiful, street now. And so my first thought was, okay, this is it. This is where I'm at. This is where I'm going to be. I need to take the city and make a difference. And it wasn't even a second thought. I just started moving forward and doing whatever I could to grow up in Barbara and to make an impact.
No, that's interesting. And it's good because a lot of people come down here and they have that preconceived notion. They get down here and they see a street that they don't like, and that's their mentality. And then a couple months later, a couple years later, they warm up to it and it becomes, home for
I think a lot of that, too, had to do with the way I was raised. Because our parents, my mother traveled. Right. So we didn't just know home. We went to Washington, D.C. for 2 weeks for the summer. Right. We were sent down to Cordele, Georgia for a month through the summer, which, that was deep. That was like the deepest part of the South that you could get to. Right. And so I knew more than just home. Right. We used to go every Easter. She used to take us to the New York City play, Broadway play, to see the Easter pageant, me and my girlfriends. And we have on those little shades with the hearts in it and our big Easter dresses. And we'd have our hair all pressed out and done. And we'd ride on that big luxury liner. So because I was so well-rounded, that I didn't get stuck in, oh, my God, this doesn't compare to that. Right. I was used to moving around, and I already knew I was groomed as a child. Everything is not going to look the same. Like, all people are not the same. Right.
And that's kind of the beauty of the military and growing up in the military and around the military is that you see these places and you say, well, there's things that I don't like, but look at all these things that I do like. I want to transition to, how did you start getting into community service?
So community service actually started when I was 14. Because all my friends that summer, you could start working at 14 at that time. And we'd work at Geno's and McDonald's. And it was a restaurant called Geno's. At that time, it wasn't Burger King. It was McDonald's biggest competitor, Geno's, Jenos. It was a hamburger joint. And so all my friends were getting applications, and I came home with an application. My grandmother said, no, you're not going to do that. She said, you're going to go down to the University of Pennsylvania, and you're going to be a Red Cross candy striper, and you're going to volunteer all summer. I'm going to do what? Yeah. Do you know how embarrassing that is? And so that whole summer, oh my God, I was so upset with her. And I used to have to get off the trolley and walk through all my friends 2 blocks to get to the house, and they'd be sitting there waiting and laughing, all the guys, because I had on this candy striper dress. Right. And so then I got hip, and one time I would change my clothes before I got on the trolley so I could look cute, and then I got in trouble for that. So anyhow, community service started for me at 14. Actually, okay, let's go back. It actually started when I was 8, because we used to go every third Sunday. Our church used to go to the Veterans Hospital in South Philadelphia, and the children's choir would sing. And my mother always used to write speeches for me, and I would always stand up and do poetry or a speech. And then after we do all of that, we would serve the veterans. Right. And so it started then. But now when we got here, we were just here just a few months. And that first Christmas, the people that we were going to church with, they lived in the next block up. Right. And there was this big party going on. So I sent the kids outside. I said, go see what they're doing up there. And so they came back crying and said, Mom, they're having a Christmas party and nobody invited us. Oh, my God, I was so hurt. I couldn't understand why I haven't even been here long enough to make nobody mad.
Right.
Ain't even got no argument with nobody. Why weren't we invited? And so I didn't want to ruin Christmas for my family. So I went in the room after they opened all their gifts and stuff. And I just sat there and cried. And I heard the Spirit of the Lord say, I want you to go give that what you want. He said, you go to the nursing home and you love up on those lonely seniors that don't have anybody, because that's what you want right now. You want to be loved.
Right.
And so at that time, it was the Woodland Hills Nursing Home. It was on 68th and Gore. It's no longer there. And I went, I signed in, I told the nurses my intent, I just want to read bulletins and sing Christmas hymns. I was there for about 2 hours. Them elderly people started ministering to me. I left feeling like $1,000,000, and that's how my nursing home ministry got started, and I never turned back from there. So it went from there to volunteering at Comanche Memorial Hospital on the 4th floor as a patient advocate for people that didn't have any family or anything, going back and forth, nothing heavy, but hey, nurse, can she have some water, or she's uncomfortable, that kind of thing. And then to volunteering for Aspire Hospice. And what I would do with them is go into the homes of people that were still home and read stories to the blind, or take them to get their hair done, or even sometimes go to relieve the caregiver. I'll stay here with them while you go out for a few hours. And so that's how my community service started. And then it went from there into Red Cross Disaster Services. Then I started volunteering at the chamber, and now it's just all over the place, man.
And that's the kind of story I think we need more, because you hear people, they go to law school, they get into politics, and you actually have a real community service background that's dedicated to just normal people, and that's you don't always see that. So I commend that. So you have this community service background, you're extensive, you're working in hospitals, you're working in Lawton, just doing good work. What makes you go and say, I want to run for city council?
Well, hearing the cries of the elderly in my community, of the retired military in my community, Barbara, when I moved here for this reason or for that reason. But when I reach out, there doesn't seem to be the right or the proper representation to follow through, or I don't seem like anybody's representing or speaking for me. There are things that we need to get done, but they're not getting done, and nobody's hearing us. So I could call and different, entities, organizations or whatever, but there's another authority now when you're sitting on a city council seat.
Right.
You can make a greater impact, because now with that seat, I have an authority to advocate for my constituents, for my ward. I have the authority to get things done. I have a voice, I have a strength, I have a power, a seat to get things done for my community that I won't as an average, everyday volunteer. People, I'm well respected. I know this community loves me. I love everyone in this community. People have reached out. I mean, anything I call for, I can get it. But then there's always that block.
Right.
And so I don't want to have to keep calling a middleman. I want to be that person that says, you know what? I can help you. Did you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? I'm going to educate them. And then after you do your steps, okay, now I'm going to step in and make sure that we can follow this through and get this issue resolved for you. So it takes advocacy to another level for me, and that city council seat will give me that authority to do that.
Oh, that's good. So going from advocacy to city council and hoping just to make that bigger impact. And you're Ward 4? Good. So how do your constituents, people that want to talk to you, reach out to you? How do they reach out to you?
They can go through 2 ways. They can reach out on our website, curry4lawton.com, curry, Curry, the number 4, Lawton.com, and you can send a message through there and it'll go directly to my email, or I love phone calls, 580-678-8004. And if they'll give me 24 to 72 hours, a lot of times I'll either shoot back a text, I'm acknowledging your call, please give me a moment, or a day or two to get back to you. So that's how we've been communicating, and it's been working pretty well.
When does the primary? When is the
Tuesday, August 23rd.
Okay, so we're coming up on it.
We're coming up on it.
Well, Ward 4, you heard it here first. Go out there and get in touch with Miss Barbara Curry. So that's good. That's good. I just wanted to close just thanking you for coming here and thanking you for being a part of this, and thanking you for so many years of community service. That's something that, like I said earlier, you don't always see. You know, guys go to law school and then they go straight to politics. So it's good. I really appreciate you. Any last thoughts? Anything you want to say for your constituents in Ward 4 or Lawton as a whole?
I want our residents to start coming back to voting. We've lost a lot of trust, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. But when you vote, that gives you a strength, that gives you a momentum, that gives you the courage to speak about what needs to be spoken about, and to show up. And a lot of times people will voice on social media, but many times I've sat in a city council meeting and the mayor has said, do any of the city council people have any words or messages from your constituents? It's like, oh, I have 2 texts. Oh, I have 1 email. No, I don't have nothing. And so now the city council is left to make the decisions on their own to what they think is best, because the people lack involvement.
Right.
So I'm asking people, especially if you're going to vote in wards 3, 4, 5, or 3 and 4, to register to vote by July 19th. Okay. And please come out to vote. Call me if you need help with that application. We will come pick it up for you. We will help you to fill it out. Women that Vote Arts Corporation, one of my organizations, the organization that I start, we help people that are visibly challenged to fill out those applications, or even people that may not be able to read. We will help you. There's no reason why we can't get out to vote, and let's start electing some officials that are servants.
Exactly.
And not just businessmen.
Exactly. Get out there and vote. If you look at any presidential, gubernatorial, any local election, you see there's a lot of people that just don't vote. You'll have some people that do it on this side and then this side, but then you'll have people who just don't vote. So just get out there and vote. And support the people that are supporting the community. I mean, you know, just years of service. So
26.
Yeah, of course. So years of service, years of just of being there for the community, and everybody in this community knows you. So you're already off to a good start. So
thank you.
Good. I really do appreciate having you on, and you being the first person to be a part of this project. So,
I'm honored. I'm honored.
So thank you. Thank you. All right, this has been the Inside Outreach Podcast. This is Taron Epps Jr. I was here with Miss Barbara Curry, City Council candidate for 4th Ward. So, when was the primary date again?
Tuesday, August 23rd.
And last date of
registration is July 19th.
July 19th. Get to it. All right, ready? All right, thank you.